My agency created over 400 pieces of content within a 12-month period. Back in 2021, we decided to create more content than we ever had in the history of our agency. Up until that point, we were busy all the time doing client work. We did not have bandwidth. I did not have a team. I was solopreneuring in the truest sense of the form. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have systems. I didn't have anything. And in that year, we hired not one, not two, but 3 new people to start working with our agency, and we finally had room for us to use that manpower, or woman power rather, to help us produce content. With no systems or pathways, we forged our way into becoming a content producing machine. This is what we learned. So here's what happened. We as a team were not built for this. We were built for creating client work. That's the skill set that I was looking for when I was hiring my team. And as we were producing more and more client work, it was necessary for us to be able to show the work that we were producing and to also talk about what our services was and to be a voice within the design community. These were the big aspirational goals as somebody who's an elder millennial and maybe not always in touch with what's happening on social media. But our team was not there yet, and we were newly formed. These hires were within a few months. So in the fall, we decided we're going to start in the next year to start producing content at scale. And that would require us to build the system, understand how we were going to work as a team, and then build our cadence, how we were going to continue to do it repeatedly and make it better and better every time that we did it. We all understood that it was not going to be easy, and we all understood that it was going to be a journey. So this is what we first did. The first thing that we did was to try to piecemeal a system. Being a creative entrepreneur is a lot of problem solving. Luckily for us, we had great friends that were able to talk us through different styles of promotion, different ways to promote your agency, and different systems that they were using. And we kind of took what worked for us from different places and we kind of boiled it down to an Asana, Figma, and Google Sheets workflow. And it took us a while to be able to start producing and calculating and putting all these things in place. And we refined worksheets to be able to make it work for us. And that's something that's huge for any agency. You want to make sure that you're not just following a template for every aspect of your business. You want to make sure that you are at least trying to make it custom to you, make it work for you. And at the first early stages, we just weren't there. So our key players, we had Amanda, content producing. We had Maria, who was our analytical and research person. We had Isabel, who was our designer and just our all-around cool kid. These things took time for us to put together to figure out how we were going to produce, and I want to show you exactly what that looked like. The next thing we did was to build that runway. Like I said, this was in the fall. We knew that starting in the new year, we were going to start producing content. So the first thing we did was decide what was our content pillars were going to be. And we started practicing having our check-ins and deciding what does that look like for not just this month, but for next month. We were doing 2 blogs a month, a live stream a month, producing a YouTube video every single month, at least 5 reels, and around 15 to 25 Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn posts that were similar but various in different ways depending on the platforms that they needed to be on. One of the first things that we did is look at what are the trends that are happening within our industry, what are people searching for, and looking at historical data. We use Google keyword search, and there's lots of different keyword planners that you could use to leverage that and to get some information. And then on top of that, we added more information. We added, social calendar, upcoming things that were local to our city that we also wanted to be involved in, especially if it played a role in what we were talking about in terms of creativity and marketing. Okay, let's take a look quickly at what this looked like here on the screen. There originally was just a very simple platform, and then it became ginormous. The first thing is, like I mentioned, we have all of our topics and its historical data in terms of monthly search volume, and also we devised a system to find out what the competitiveness of each of these things were. Again, this is the brainchild of Maria. Maria is a godsend when it comes to a lot of this work. And then we went to our individual months. We split within a social content calendar, and we had notes at the top. We had important dates like Black History Month, Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, Random Acts of Kindness Day, Family Day, because that's a holiday where I'm at. And you would be able to see what our content goals are. We always try to have some of these things, some type of solution, some type of transparency, education, what our values were. And then we would also put what our stories were going to be, what the static image was going to look like. And then if you look at the bottom, this would be like the social calendarization. And then over here would be the content. This is the content that was going to be specific. So you would see here, we had hashtags, we had captions. So we were producing tons of content, or at least that was our initial objective. And we needed to, have a runway to start building this, because you can't just decide and turn on the tap, especially when you've never done this before. The first thing we worked on was the blog, and the blog has still to this day been the main content pillar for us. That's where we build our theme around. And at the time, I believe we were trying to produce 600 to 800 words twice a month. And that took us a while to get through that, and then to redesign our blog page, because we had maybe 3 or 4 blog posts before that had never really performed, and they were written by, just some guy named me, who's not the best writer. So we enlisted Amanda and Maria initially to just start with blogs, and the blogs were kind of the glue that held everything together. And then we would start to build content around the blogs that would help us promote it and help us talk about this topic. This is where you saw the Google Sheet really start to work and help us plan, and then the scheduling and assigning of work within Asana, and the designing and doing of a lot of the work in terms of design work was done in Figma. So that's number 2. Is getting some type of runway and trying stuff out and just seeing if you can get the system to work. But you need to have a runway to be able to almost soft launch it, so that you're not beating yourself up for not meeting your targets. Number 3, meetings and tracking. We developed a routine and a system to have every single week. I think maybe only once or twice have we canceled this meeting since the inception of this meeting, was to have a weekly meeting with myself, with our marketing assistant, and our content manager. And this meeting was deemed our content planning meeting. This meeting allowed us to review all the analytics, and Maria was amazing. She was also putting in insights and trends and tracking those things and allowing us to see what exactly was working and why, and giving us insights as to what we should be doing to help fix the production and the creative workflow to see better results. So this would be an overview of what our year would look like, what was working for us, the type of views and plays we were getting, and that gives us an ability to look at all of our different platforms for both our podcast and our agency. We had just started TikTok later in that year, and our LinkedIn page, and even our podcast, and you can go in and see when we were starting to post individually in the months and see what the content would actually look like. We would track every metric, and on top of that, we would also keep tracks of our audience to understand who exactly are we serving. And again, it's all about finding a good pace of building something, setting it out into the world, seeing what the response is, and adjusting. And we did this constantly every single week. I could not have done this without a team, without people that knew better than me, without people that could do other work while I was focusing on still building this business. All right. Hopefully this has been helpful in your journey in building systems for your creative agency. Building an agency is not easy, and it takes so much effort and understanding of multiple skills to be able to leverage what you know to make you money, and to also fulfill that desire you have in being creative and being entrepreneurial. So if this is kind of like your jam, then I would say follow along. Our next video, we're actually talking about how to position yourself with your team structure. How do you get the right people in the right place with the right job descriptions, and what types of roles should you be looking towards when you're looking to hire somebody? If it's, you're a solopreneur right now, maybe you have one person who's helping you out, even if you're just on contract overseas somewhere, there are ways that you can leverage certain software or even time blocking skills. And we're going to cover all of these things in our next video. Stay tuned. I hope this has been helpful. I've been Bart. Peace out.